Namaste, Jay Bharat. This is what I read from the news that the Bangalore Bishop, or Archbishop, if I'm not wrong, one Peter Machado, had demanded 5 Christmas gifts from our Prime Minister. 5 points is demanded. Let's look at them in very subtle manner. First of all, he says you must permit religious conversion. Of course, we have a norms that forceful religious conversion is not permitted. Forceful religious conversion is not permitted. He says that should be removed. Secondly, he says that with 5, as I remember, I would say that the when the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes get converted to Christianity, the reservation should continue. Third point is that one should stop atrocities against Christian churches. And two more. One is we must welcome the Pope who's planning to visit Bharat. Of course, this is already done. And there's one more. If I remember, I'll tell you to you in the course of talking. But the theme of the discussion should be on the conversion concept. We have a norm that forceful religious conversions should not be permitted or should be forbidden. Now, what is forceful religious conversion? And before that, what is religious conversion? When one changes a faith system from one faith to another faith, it must be theoretically, at least, ideally, and academically, it must be based on kind of conviction that you know the faith system of one particular religion X, and you're not satisfied with it for whatever reasons your own, then you would like to opt for another faith system of a different religion about which you should have fairly good knowledge. It's a question of comparison between knowing these two faith systems, and then you opt from out of the two one. Or maybe where one knows more faith systems and then one picks up one. Now, this is the ideal situation, which is a hypothetical situation which now happens as a matter of fact. Practical level, how religious conversion takes place is that in the British Bharat, when the British were the colony, the Bharat used to be a colony of the East India Company, one of the objectives of East India Company, of course, the primary objective was to make money, pick the resources of Bharat and loot and take it back to wherever they want. In the East India Company wanted to be rich. Taking the resources of Bharat, indeed they become rich, taking the resources of Bharat. And Bharat, which was, we call in Hindi as Sonegatidia, once upon a time, one of the richest nations, was impoverished after this British colonial rule, much more impoverished than the Mughals who ruled 800 years. The Mughals, they of course never ruled the whole of Bharat. Even British didn't rule the whole of Bharat, technically. But then they have looted in the initial stages, Mughals, but then later they started settling down, finding this as a very comfortable zone with all kinds of their whims and fancies could take place. So, conversion, what normally happens, see, this is one thing. 800 years of this Mughals presence in Bharat, 200 years of the colonial rule, and in 200 years, one of the objective of East India Company was evangelization, to convert people. Many of them wanted Bharat to be a Christian country at the end of, after some time, and they were very confident that they have done it in other societies. Wherever they went, they were the whole people converted, the whole society converted into whatever religion, both Islam or Christianity, whatever. They were very confident, they were trying. Whatever the conversion took place in this 200 years of British rule, the conversion process in Bharat was intense for the 10 years between 2004 to 2040. Who was instrumental to this? You can imagine. Money was pumped from agencies, all kinds of agencies, which was up to facilitating religious conversion into Christianity. This took place at one time. It came to a halt with the that kind of rule vanishing or disappearing. Till that time, that used to be the condition. So that much intense is 10 years conversion. At least I don't know the number of people who converted, but then the intensity of religious conversion activities were much more. Now, what is conversion actually? Initially, I've mentioned that the faith system, one understands two different faith systems and then makes choice, which is never the case. Mostly, what happens is what used to happen and what still is happening is exploiting the situation of a person. They say, we give you money, we give you this, we give you that, and also in the past we give you status, we give you this, we give you that, and force them. Money is being spent for getting people converted. The poor villages, remote, so-called backward area, they go, they spend money on them, entice them into some kind of promises, as they normally do. That promise to heaven, the promises in heaven, that after death you will get so many things. Similarly, that you become a Christian, you do this, we get this, we get that, we get that. A whole lot of promise and facilities and money. And then make them, cheat them into changing religion. That's what I'm really enticing and cheat them into changing religion, which of course is not supported by our government. That's called forceful conversion. Look at Africa. This is an anecdote from African continent. They say initially when the people came, the whites came to the black people, they had the Bible, we had the land. And they left, we had the Bible in our hands and they had the land. Simple. This is what the Africans say. When they left, they had the land and we had the Bible in our hands. They promised them, they gave them all facilities, and once they were all Christianized, they just forgot about them. Then they stopped all these activities and they went to another new area of research, new area of operation. So this of course cannot be accepted. We can't let agencies cheat people into changing their faith. If someone is changing his faith of his own, who's stopping him? No one stops him. Then another thing is that the scheduled castes, tribes, etc., should continue to get reservation. Of course, in many places, because of area, the scheduled tribes, in spite of becoming Christians, continue to get reservations as scheduled tribes. But in some other places, that is not the case. That is because, you see, one of the objective of reservation is that not only to bring them into the mainstream, but to preserve their identity. The identity of a particular homogeneous group must be preserved, protected, because that's a kind of identity. Like what we do in the Andaman and Nicobar, the Jarawa tribe, for instance, they are very friendly with us these days. So the government doesn't allow others to go into the area where the Jarawas live, but then facilitate whatever they want is given by the government of Bharat. So one of the objectives in reservation is to give them, allow them to maintain their originality, identity, because there's in some manner they're aborigines. Now, but the moment you change the faith system, the entire culture gets changed. They have their own ways of living that has been infiltrated from outside. It's not that they're changing these kind of. It's not an evolutionary becoming. It's a revolutionary forced change, which destroys their originality. So why should they continue to get reservations since they've lost what they used to be? It's simple. And secondly, these people were unaware of all the things that they were forced to be. So this is another thing. Then another thing is the demand of the bishop, gift demand by the bishop, bishop or archbishops, I am not sure, is that their institutions should be protected. Of course, their institutions is already protected like any other religious institutions, provided the people who are running it don't create problems in society. In backward areas of many of ethnic minorities, there had been instances reported of rape and misbehavior with the society. Of course, if those people retaliate, by the time we go there to control them, things will already have been done. That is a presumed kind of thing which he says, which is not the case every time. If there are some isolated incidents, then he should have investigated into the isolation of the isolated incidents, how it happens. Then, of course, facilitate the visits to the Pope. Of course, we are already doing it. Our government is already doing it. These 5 demands. Actually, this. If they are so concerned about the minorities, how do they treat those who are converted from the so-called lower section of the societies into their religion? They never give them the status. Never support them, never make them a priest, forget about making them a bishop or something like that. Now they keep treating them as Dalits, as the low caste. We are not. We don't, but then they keep doing it. They are more intensely conscious about the caste because they themselves are divided into many kinds of sects. So they keep it. I would conclude saying one thing. Swami Vivekananda, his talks are there in the book Colombo to Almora. His speeches, his talks during his visit to the Rock Memorial, which is Vivekananda talk. And then on his way back, he talked to people. And one address in that time Madras, today's Chennai, this is a significant reference. He calls Malabar, by meaning Malabar, he means Kerala, a lunatic asylum. I forgot the exact words, very interestingly put by Swamiji. He calls Malabar, that means Kerala, a lunatic asylum, and the houses of Malabar is all lunatic asylums, if I remember that's the exact word. Malabar is a lunatics, and there's a lunatic asylum. You know why he said that? He said that if a pariah, P-R-A-H, I remember the spelling very clearly how he writes it, changes his religion or changes his name to some hosh-posh English name, he is accepted by the people of Malabar. That means a lower caste. There's untouchability those days, religious problem those days. So there's a caste rigidity used to be there. But the moment one is converted into Christianity, they accept him. Then Vivekananda Swami is very painfully speaking, you distance from your own brother who remains a Hindu, implicitly says who remains a Hindu, and when he gets converted and obtains a hosh-posh English name, all the differences vanish. For that only, he is calling the Malabaris lunatics and the houses as lunatic asylums. Please refer, it will be interesting. We meet again with some other thought. Namaste, Jai Bharat, Jai Shri Ram.